Hello, everyone. We're live here now. Let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly. Maybe type 1. I see the usual suspects are here. Music Lover Forever says, hi, everyone. Hope you have had a great weekend. Yes, we have. Jake's Customs says, Rafi's on Arcadia Economics every Friday. Yeah, I've been on with Chris Marcus a few years ago, but I haven't spoken to him for a while. Rafi will be coming on soon. I usually come in, start a little earlier than usual. If you're watching this recorded, just skip about 10 minutes if you don't want to listen to me saying hello to the viewers. We got Ben Gray says, hi, Mario. Evening, everyone. Rudy is not here right now. He's with my wife in the living room. He's a little bit, yeah, he's been playing a lot today. And yeah, he's just resting a little bit. Newfoundland, we got Kim Beanie. Spokane, Washington, Linda Compton. And H. Evening, Mario and Rudy. Anton Spoji from Bratislava, Slovakia. Brenda Marie from Alberta, Canada. LG from Orlando. Matt Bittner says, did you hear about Gonzalo Lira getting arrested? No, I'm not really concerned, or, I mean, why should I care about Gonzalo Lira that much, to be honest? He did some good content when the war in Ukraine started. I don't follow that kind of news, to be honest. But I haven't heard that he was arrested. Honig from Holland, salad. And no disrespect to Gonzalo Lira, I hope he's fine. But when you're in a war zone and you have controversial views, that can happen easily. Lily Robin from Denver. North Wales, Stephen Newson. Ruth Esther from Bulgaria. Tony Colburn. Hi, Tony. Kokomo, Mississippi. New Church of Philadelphia. Chris Jones. Patty Jones, Port St. Lucie. Yeah, I've been to Port St. Lucie many, many years ago. Not far from Vero Beach. A king and queen are crowned. Hopefully all is well in the UK. Well, nothing's changed for me. Charles Sparrow says we should care about Gonzalo. Yeah, well, I'm not saying I don't care about him, but I just don't. I didn't hear of the news, and it's not something that really I follow, to be honest. Lily Robbins says gold hit all-time high. Silver Eagle selling for $40. I bought some last week for 37. Went back the same seller 5 days later. Now 39. Yeah, those are the real prices, the physical prices. Hi, Jim Millward. Nice to see you here. Kelly from Valdosta. Yeah, that's in Georgia. Oh yeah, we're going to look into the question of the debt ceiling. Rafi has a few things to talk about there, and of course we're going to also do our usual Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So yeah, the title of the live stream is "Time Running Out to Save faith and confidence in the dollar. And yeah, I'm not saying the U.S. Treasury is going to default. All I'm saying is that it's going to hurt the credit of the United States. So we'll wait until Rafi comes on. He should be on soon. Jake's custom parts. Is life better with a new king? To be honest, I could care less really what happened yesterday. Some people watched it. I didn't. I was busy doing something else. Another distraction, I would say. What percentage of precious metals, 10, 20% or more of wealth, would you be holding under today's conditions? Well, outside my my house, my home, I would say almost 100%, to be honest. And in that, I include the mining stocks. Out of the precious metals, I would say maybe 10, 15% in the mining stocks. Yeah, so outside my home, I would say I want to, as much as possible, 10, 20%. I would feel very uncomfortable only having 10 or 20% of my liquid assets. LG, what do you think about, he's not my king, but what do you think about King Charles III? I don't really have an opinion, and I could care less, to be honest. I know some people hold on to that tradition that someone should be on top, should be in charge of them, but he's not my king. I think that basketball coach from the Boston Celtics pretty much described how I feel. There is a king, but he's not of this world. There you go. Over here, YouTubers have been talking about Rafi's latest comments. MW351645. Yeah, I mean, I have been living in this country for over 30 years. But I mean, actually, if the king actually was a real sovereign, I would probably be okay with that. But it's immaterial to me who's king or who's not, or who's queen. So there you go. I don't try to let it. It doesn't really bother me. Carlos Garcia, the puppeteer's coronation date right on the lunar eclipse was not a coincidence, pure symbolism. They followed the cosmos. Was there a lunar eclipse? I didn't know about that. That shows you how much I've followed those things. I do sometimes, but I didn't hear about yes, I have, Matt Bittner. I have used my precious metals to not barter, but to buy things, because precious metals are money. So it's not bartering. I actually I bought some artwork from Jim, he's on the chat, Jim Millward. There you go. There he is, Jim Millward. I bought some artwork with some silver from him, and I've also been paid in silver for writing an article for a magazine here in the UK. So it's not barter. It's yeah, you buy and you sell with money. Carl Sittler about CBDCs being tolerated. I think people should just avoid CBDCs, It's just like during the pandemic. I never took a test. I avoided track and trace. If enough people just avoid CBDCs, it won't catch on. So unless they force it upon you, and I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to try to phase it in. So if everyone tries to, it's like with cash, you have to keep using cash because if you don't, we're going to keep paying the bankers for everything we pay, because when you use your debit card or your credit card, the bank is making money. Steve, thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your calm approach to this absolute criminality. Well, yeah, that's what they want. They want you angry and combative. They want to take energy out of you. So you need to stay calm, keep a clear head, I think. Jeff McCarthy, thank you for your super chat. It says, keep up the good work. Buy a bone for Rudy. Thank you. Rudy's been a bit naughty today. He's been digging in the garden a few times. I caught him digging, and he pulled a bulb out of the flower bed. My wife wasn't very happy, and it can be quite serious. It could poison him. Hi, Rafi.
Hi. Oh, okay. So you see me. All right.
Yeah, I can see you. Sorry, I was answering a question and I saw you. I'm sorry.
No, it's I only see you in the square, so I don't even know if I'm here, but I guess I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are. Yeah. And so the title of the live stream, Rafi, if you haven't seen, is Time Running Out to Save Faith and Confidence in the Fiat Dollar. And by that, I mean that even if they do get a deal through, I think they're playing it, very tight.
Mm-hmm.
You've written about that, how many days they've left. And I think back in 2011, the same thing happened to Brinksmanship, and that led to S&P downgrading US debt, and it caused a lot of problems. So even if they don't default, I think it could be damaging. What's your thought on that? Anyway, Rafi, before, welcome and thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me again.
You're welcome.
Okay, what's my opinion of what's going to happen if they thing is this it just gets stupider every time this happens. And anyway, I have a question. Is it brinkmanship or brinksmanship?
I think it's brinksmanship, is it? I don't know. Let's Google it. And let's write
it. Annoyed me. I don't know. I hear brinkmanship all the time, but sometimes it's brinksmanship.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're right. I'm wrong. Brinkmanship, yeah.
I don't know. Brinksmanship sounds better.
It sounds like the Brinks Gold.
Yeah.
It's a method of behavior in which you deliberately get into dangerous situations, which could result in disaster. I guess the Cuban Missile Crisis was probably the most brinkmanship-like event of the 20th century. Could have had a nuclear war there.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. So, well, my worry about this, it's not a worry. Like, I'm kind of hoping it'll happen because we need a trigger for something to get this all over with. I mean, look what California's doing, paying $1 million for every Black person in the state. I mean, when you get this crazy, you got to reset the system.
Yeah, I think it's I saw that they're looking to pay $1.3 million for every Black residence.
Yeah, they want 200 million each, but like, why stop at 200 million? Yeah. Why not like $1 trillion for every Black person? That should work. Once you get to a society this clearly insane, it's and then you look at the situation in Congress, and you have to wonder, do they really understand what they're doing? Because with everything else, they don't really understand what they're doing. I mean, the reason that this law passed in California is because Keynesianism, the idea that you can just print money and everything will be better, is so ingrained in the society that they're gonna do things like this that totally violate any common sense. So maybe Congress also is that dumb. I really don't know if they are or not, because what they don't realize, and what I think is true, is that if they default on anything, not necessarily not even pay a bond auction, not an auction, not pay the bond back, they'll pay all the interest on the debt. That'll definitely be paid, but something is not going to be paid. And if anything is not going to be paid, then all the debt markets in the in the whole world the interest rates are going to go up.
Yeah, that's right.
If they don't realize that, then this could happen, because they could be thinking, oh yeah, we'll play chicken with the market for a day or two, and then the Democrats will give in, or then the Republicans will give in for sure. And what if one day is enough to set the whole apple cart? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but
yeah. So Rocky, do you think there will be a massive move, a massive migration of Black people to California from other states?
I don't know how the law is structured, but if this thing does pass, and they actually start handing out these checks, white people are going to leave.
Yeah, what I'm saying, maybe we could move there and identify as Blacks and get $1.3 million and buy gold and silver with it.
Well, Trudeau did that and he didn't get in trouble, so I guess we could do it too.
Lord Humongous, thank you for being a moderator. He asks, where is I mean, I don't even know, because people say that JP Morgan has 900 million ounces of physical silver. I've never seen proof of that. Are they holding it for a client? Is it for JP Morgan itself? But Lord Humongous is asking, where are they keeping it? I'm going to answer first. If they have the 900 million ounces of silver, I would say they have it spread out, probably some underneath the city of London, maybe at some of their vaults. They have a vault in London at JP Morgan, maybe also they have a vault. They used to have a vault in New York that they sold to the Chinese, one of the Chinese banks. So they might keep it there. Any views on that, Rafi?
Where are they keeping it? Well, it's not New York, or unless they're hiding it. Some of it will be in London, but a lot of it is owned by SLV, and then you could say, well, they're just going to double own it or double count it, or and whatever. But I don't think they have 900 million ounces of silver. That sounds like something that is easily just made up and not easily verifiable. Maybe they do, but whether they do or they don't, I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference.
I never bought into that. I think it was Ted Butler who's come up with that. But someone sent me a private message through Patreon today as well, and they said that the UK has joined the BRICS and that they're going to adopt sterling silver as to back the currency here in the UK. And then I said, where did you get that from? And they said it was from a guy. I forgot his name now, Charlie Ward on Rumble. And I went to Rumble and I looked at this video. Charlie Ward, he talks up, I've heard of him before, but he just comes out and says, yeah, the UK has already joined BRICS and they're going to back the currency with sterling silver. But, where do you get that from? And that would be really nice. But I'm not too sure that the UK maybe should join the BRICS, but it doesn't seem like they will right now.
I haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah. I wanted to show you guys something, and you too, Rafi, because we never look at these kinds of things. And with the BRICS, becoming, moving away from the dollar system, I just thought I'd look at the largest cities in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a list here of 81 cities. And out of those 81, only 14 were in North America and Europe. The rest was all in countries that probably will eventually be part of BRICS. And I thought that was really interesting. It just goes to show how the balance of power is shifting. I'm not saying having big city is automatically going to make a country wealthy and well run, but you've got New York here. That's the first. That's the first North American and European country on the list at number 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was interesting. What do you think about that?
Well, I wouldn't exactly call India, because it has the third most populous city, a powerhouse. They just have a lot of slums.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is that I think the West is kind of we've forgotten. We're not like aware of what's going on in the rest of the world. We still think that the West dominates everything, but I think it's shifting, and that's a sign there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true that the West is shifting, but I'm not sure I agree with this whole school of thought. Maybe like this is more futuristic, trying to imagine what the world's going to look like after the end game. And a lot of people think there's going to be a power shift from the West to the East to China. I don't see that. For the logical reason is that China participates in the Keynesian system, right? They're a part of it, and they've got the short end of the stick because they got to provide the stuff, and all the U.S. has to do is provide the paper. So when this system falls, the East falls with it. I think everything falls. I mean, once the Roman Empire collapsed, there was no replacement. There was no competing power that took it over. It just disintegrated, and that was it. So I think both the West and the East are going to disintegrate. And then what's the new power? I mean, I don't know. It might take a long time to figure out who or what that is. Does there even have to be one?
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe
there's not going to be one.
Maybe we'll go back to more localized, like city states and things like that. Who knows?
That would be much better than what we have now.
Yeah. Dmitry Shmerkovich says, thank you for your super chat. He says, hi, Mario and Rafi. Thank you for your good work and common sense. You're welcome. So let's see if we got, oh yeah, I've got a few things here, Rafi. Let's bring it up. Like on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the thing that China, I know you don't want actually the central banks to be buying too much gold, but be as it may, it looks like China, they've bought more gold in April, 8 tons.
Okay.
And they bought since November, they bought in the last 5 months 120 metric tons. So it does look like they're trying to move away from some of their dollar reserves, even though they can't get rid of everything. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is this here, the short selling ban of September 18th, 2008 marked the start of the panic collapse of the stock market. And right now, JP Morgan, I think this came out yesterday, is predicting short seller ban after US bank turmoil. Do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Short seller ban. I mean, what Murray Rothbard said about banning short sellers. For every short seller, there is a buyer.
Yeah.
That like if you ban short selling, you ban buying on the other side. You just damage both markets. So banning short selling is it's like an act of desperation that they do over and over and over again. It never works, just like price controls never work. I mean,
yeah, because also when people who go short, they borrow the stock and then they sell it short, and then when it drops, they buy it back. So and the other thing it does, people who own the banking stocks, when they see that, oh, they're banning short selling, they say, well, there's a problem, and they start selling it themselves, not short, but just getting rid of their stock. So like you said, it's like price fixing never works. There's a question here from Matthew. Do you think there will be a moment of weeks after the next massive money printing of limbo before hyperinflation? I guess what he's asking, Rafi, is whether when they start QE again, if hyperinflation is going to kick off right away. It's difficult to say. What do you think?
I don't know. What I'm worried about is like, look, none of us know what the thing is going to be, but whatever the thing is, whenever the world wakes up and realizes the dollar is dead, it's not going to take long from that realization until the end. I mean, in 1923, the only reason it took, what was it, like, 6 months, was that it takes time to get a wad of bills in your hand and then give them to somebody else and move the paper around. But this time, the everyone's like in the central banking community, we call them a community. They're all shocked about how fast the whole SVB thing happened, because one day they're fine, and then the next day it's just like, that's it, it's done. That's what bank runs are now, and that's what the dollar run is going to be, which is just a bank run on the Fed itself. That's all it is. It's a bank run on the Fed.
And the Fed's balance sheet is very similar to all these banks' balance sheets.
Yeah, well, the banks follow the Fed because they think that's, what they're supposed to be doing, which that's all the messaging. So now they're in trouble for it, What are they going to do?
Yeah, and it's ironic because technology has been a good thing, like online banking, everything's quicker, and but that's the other side of the coin, that it makes bank runs even quicker. Maybe it could make hyperinflation even quicker as well, because you don't have to carry wheelbarrows. You just sell, you just go online and buy loads of gold, even though they might block it. So, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be. I mean, technology is a double-edged sword. The state tries to outrun us, but we have the same technology at our fingertips, so we can just outrun the system. Also, it makes it a lot faster.
I think you talked about, was it on Arcadia, about the was it the IMF or the World Bank? They talked about limiting withdrawals.
It was the head of the IMF, Georgieva, and she was saying it's a problem that people can just move money whenever they want to, however much they want. And she didn't say anything, at least not quoted by the FT that I read. She said, we'll have to ... think about this, and structuring regulations to fix this problem, which means don't allow people to move money when they want to. Just capital controls. And when that happens, like, people just go to gold anyway, because their money is useless, because the state is the world state is making it useless.
Rafi, and the viewers, some of you might have seen this already. I want to show you this. This is a bearer bond issued in June 1st, 1930, and it's a loan to Germany from JP Morgan, as you can see here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because the BIS was created like in May of 1930, and it's payable in gold. It's a gold bond, and you can see all the they stopped paying the interest, the coupon, June 1945. And so you can see that even throughout the war, they were doing business, like the BIS and the JP Morgan. So I just thought that'd be interesting.
Yeah, you're quite the collector.
Yeah, I got 3 of those. They're not worth much because I think they defaulted on it after the war ended in 1945. But it's interesting that they were still paying it throughout the war.
Mm-hmm.
But
so the German government was paying JP Morgan?
Well, probably through the BIS, because JP Morgan is the principal and interest payable at the office of JP Morgan, it says here.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And JP Morgan, they were one of the founders of the BIS, so it all fits in.
It must have been a deal like the Nazis said, if we keep paying this bond, you keep, moving our money.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. I got something. JP Morgan is the principal and interest payable at the office of JP Morgan. Sorry, I got something else here. Let's bring up some more stories here from, oh yeah, Rafi, could you talk about how long you think the Treasury has until something happens in terms of, not being able to pay stuff?
Well, I don't know how long they have until not being able to pay, because they have all these tricks that they could possibly do.
Yeah.
But when is their bank account going to run out short of any of these tricks? Probably within 10 to 12 days. So I looked at today at that first link there in that paragraph. I put the link to the daily Treasury report of the deposits and withdrawals of their account at the Fed. So I found that their tax receipts were like 8 billion, and the account went up 20 billion because they issued 20 billion more in short-term debt than they redeemed. So all the money that they got was from short-term debt, which cycles, up and down. So it looks like there's about 8 to 10 days left of funds left, because there's no more tax receipts coming in until June 15th. And then what happens? They could start issuing cash management bills, which are like 14, 28 day, paper that is not part of the debt ceiling problem, and that could last them another few days or maybe a month or two. But they might not do that. I don't know. By then, like, even if they do that and they can pay everything, it's going to be on the news like, oh, the debt ceiling has been breached, and now the Congress is doing XYZ to keep paying, and the emergency state of everything will probably affect the interest rates of everything as well. So
yeah, and you notice that they sent 25.67 billion to the FDIC.
yeah, they sent 10 billion to the
10.
FDIC.
Oh, sorry, of the 27, yeah, 10 billion to the FDIC. Yeah, that's right. And another thing you notice is that you got an offer from Capital One for a new credit card, which corresponds to 4% annualized. So you think the banks right now, they're taking, putting their doing reverse repos with the Fed, and then taking the cash and lending it to people at 1% lower?
Could be. I don't know exactly what they're doing, or if Capital One has direct access to reverse repos, or if they're doing it through a proxy or something.
Yeah.
But if I had access to reverse repos, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's right. It's like I guess lending to the Fed is, or in that case would be selling securities to the Fed, is always safe, supposedly safe. Let's have a look at some more of a. Oh yeah, I followed this guy on Twitter. He's traveling around the Middle East. He was in, I think this is in Doha, in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
That looks quite like a nice shop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this is let's play this. See what you think. This is Janet Yellen.
Paint a picture for everyone. What happens on that day? Let's assume, for the sake of argument, it's June 1st. What happens that day if the debt limit has not been extended?
Well, Treasury finds itself in a position where we're unable to pay all of the bills that come due that day. And this would be really the first time in the history of America that we would fail to make payments that are due. And, whether it's defaulting on interest payments that are due on the debt, or payments due for Social Security recipients, or to Medicare providers, we would simply not have enough cash to meet all of our obligations. And it's widely agreed that financial and economic chaos would ensue. U.S. Treasury securities are the safest bedrock security.
I just paused there. She says U.S. Treasuries are the safest bedrock securities. I guess she hasn't looked at the John Exter's inverted pyramid.
Yeah.
Financial system, a failure of the United States to honor all of its debt would call into question our credit worthiness, even as we get very close to this date. If Congress doesn't act, we're likely to see financial market consequences. In 2011, there was a steep decline in the stock market and our borrowing costs. Back in 2011, the US was downgraded by the credit rating agencies. There would be permanently higher borrowing costs for Americans for buying a home, buying a car, and a failure to raise the debt ceiling would cause a steep.
So actually, for once, I kind of agree with most of what she said. What do you think, Rafi?
Wait a second. She's saying that it would be horrible for them to not raise the debt ceiling because then interest rates will go up for everybody on, buying a new home. Well, what has the Fed been doing since 2022 exactly? Raising interest rates from 0 to 5%. So that kind of already happened, Janet.
Yeah. But I think what she said there about the ratings agencies is interesting. But like you said, it's probably already priced in. And I think there's something here from Warren Buffett from yesterday. Nobody knows how far you can go with a paper currency before it gets out of control, particularly if you are the world's reserve currency. Yeah, there you go. And I think
there's Warren Buffett spouting some wisdom. He's not very good on money. He's good on wealth, but he's not good on money.
He's good at investing in companies. His father, I think, was better at money. Howard Buffett. Did you? Yeah, he wrote a piece about. Okay, I'm going to bring up a chart here. This is my UK viewers will be interested in this, and this is the price of gold in pounds. Unfortunately, it only goes back to I think 2016.
Wow, that looks really nice.
Yeah, and we've broken out, but we're testing here this breakout line. It was like a quadruple 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it was a quadruple top, and then it broke out, and now it's retested. This is a weekly chart. It's retesting this breakout level, which is technically positive, but yeah. So that's XAU GBP. It's at just below 1,600. I remember, Rafi, when I started buying, I bought my first Krugerrands. I paid 222 pounds. So some people say, oh, gold doesn't do anything. But and then I've also got this one here. And the reason why I'm showing these in different currencies is that I think we need to look at gold as a currency. And this is against the yen. Look at that. I mean, that chart looks really bearish for the yen, bullish for gold. And then we got the Aussie dollar chart, same kind of thing. And then we got the Canadian dollar. I think last week it made a new high. And then on Friday, they slammed gold down. And the other one I want to show you, I don't know if you've got Barrick gold, Rafi?
Yeah, I do have Barrick, yeah.
I have Barrick, and I actually sold some of my Newmont on Friday and bought Barrick because I thought this move was quite bullish. We closed on a high here, and we kind of broke this resistance here. And if you look at the Fibonacci retracement of this last big move, it's around $20. So I think that looks good. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying this is what I think, and I've actually added on to Barrick. What do you think of this chart? Do you look at charts like this, or you go more on the fundamentals?
I go more on fundamental. I don't ignore technicals, but I don't have a sense, like a spidey sense for good technicals or bad technicals. I try to follow people that I trust, whose fundamentals I also trust. But I guess what I see here is, it looks like we made a higher high.
Yeah,
But we did that also in April, and that was a fake out. So
yeah,
I think fundamentally we're ready to move.
yeah, yeah.
No.
Oh, and the other one I wanted to show the viewers, and again, this is not advice, or I'm not telling you to buy it. This is like a reunion gold. It's an Explorer Junior Exploration. They have a big property in Guyana,
Mhm.
in South America, and I've been holding this for a while, and I just think it looks pretty good. The technicals here, we're around 48, and I think we could go to 67. I don't know when, but it looks like a nice breakout here too. Yeah, RGD Reunion Gold, and again, it's not advice, but I like that one. Let's see if we got any questions here. Thoughts on the fourth turning? Have you looked into the fourth turning, Rafi?
I've heard the term. I
Yeah.
think it has to do with basically the fourth industrial revolution and us turning all into, AI controlled goop, right?
Oh, no, no, this is different. That's the fourth industrial revolution. That's
Okay.
no, the fourth turning is about cycles, and basically Howe and I forgot the other guy's name. They wrote a book in the 90s, and they looked at cycles, and they look at generational, every generation's 20 years. So it usually takes 80 years for people to forget things from 80 years ago. So things repeat themselves. And they looked at, let's say, the fourth turning. They said it was the 20-year period between like 1776 and 1765 and 1780, when they had the US revolution. And then you add 80 years, you get the Civil War in 1860. And then you add 80 years, you get World War II. Then you add 80 years, you get 2020. So there's usually some big event happening in the
Okay.
fourth turning. So
There-
yeah, I think we are in the
yeah.
fourth turning. It's just difficult to say what's going to happen, but we're definitely experiencing things that we haven't seen for many, many decades. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, my worldview changed in a way, very much so in 2020, because I guess until that time, I was hoping that the future would be better. And I've always known the end game was coming, but when I saw how people behaved in 2020, I knew in a different way. And I was no longer like, I matured. I was no longer fantasizing about what the end game is going to be. I know it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine, but we can't imagine it's going to be like a playground or anything. And about the 80 years, just on a side note, there is biblical precedent for 80 years being significant, because that's the longest period of peace in the Hebrew Bible that ever existed. They have these verses that say "Vayishkot haaretz 80 shana," that the land was peaceful for 80 years, and then only then the new judge came and dealt with the problems then. But 80-year span, that's the longest period of peace.
Interesting. Have you watched, I don't know if you watch Netflix. Have you watched Rough Diamonds?
No, I haven't.
That's a really good. Have you heard of it?
Rough Diamonds. Is it a movie?
It's a series. It's actually a Belgian series, but it's in English, and it's about the diamond dealers in Antwerp, and it's about a Jewish family. It's really interesting. I recommend it.
The Satmar in charge of that, right?
I'm sorry.
Satmar Hasidim. That's they're in the diamond trade.
Yeah.
Williamsburg.
Yeah. Let's see if we got any questions here. Lord Humongous said he's going penny. Christy Easley, Mario, what about Congressman Andy Biggs saying the Fed has funded State Department for 30 years? They would fund government without raising debt ceiling. I guess the Fed could. I think Powell said that would be a last resort.
All right.
Yeah, I guess they could lend to well, they could, they're doing it, QE is already lending to the Treasury indirectly. But
Well,
if
they're never gonna just up and say, okay, we give up, we'll go back to gold. They're not. They're never gonna say that. They're going to. We're going to try everything they can until they blow everything up.
Yeah, the thing is, I think if the Fed decides to directly buy from the Treasury to avoid a default, the precious metals are going to go crazy, I think, because that's direct monetization. What do you think?
Well, yeah, when we talk about precious metals going crazy, we're talking about the dollar dying.
Yeah,
It's just a synonym. So yeah, the Fed is going to be what kills it. I mean, they're going to try things until everybody just dumps it. It just depends how much you're able to stretch it and what the public will tolerate. And they're not going to tolerate much more. So like we're scared of all these tricks that the Fed could pull. They can only pull tricks insofar as people still accept the dollar after they do that trick, and it's not going to keep lasting.
Yeah. Over here, is this the great collapse? Is this what we've been stacking for? I think so. What do you think, Rafi? Is this the finally the end game? How long can they stretch it for?
I don't know. I've been at this for so long. Not as long as you have.
No.
But they could. I'm not going to be surprised by any last minute rescue. But at some point, the last minute rescue that they're going to try is not going to work. So do I think that's going to be in this round of money printing? I do think so. I mean, another reason is we're too close to a possible nuclear war for this to allow to continue.
Yeah. Someone's noted that people mind the cracks on the sidewalk in New York. I've seen a program about that. I think it's on 42nd Street where there's all the diamond and the jewelers there. You can find a lot of gold. I saw a guy on YouTube doing it. Oh, someone asked another question here. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, the platinum coin. I think they brought that up in 2011 as well. That's just a gimmick. That's just to pretend they're like not inflating out of thin air. They say that they're gonna have a platinum coin, that's worth $1 trillion, and so the Fed will buy it from the Treasury. They'll have a platinum coin that's worth $1 trillion. I mean, that's just like printing money, isn't it? It's just a silly thing.
What's the difference between doing that and doing what they do now? I mean,
yeah,
it's a little bit more honest to have a platinum coin worth something because it's real. It's money.
It's an ounce of it is worth $1,000 right now, but they're going to make it worth $1 trillion. So it's just it's going to be 999,999,000, a million, 999 is silly, and I guess they could do a few thousand of those. Yeah, it's a Krugman idea. I mean, that figures, right? I'm sure
it's really his idea.
You're not a fan of Paul Krugman, I guess.
I love Paul Krugman. He's my favorite.
Favorite economist, yeah. Oh yeah, over here is asking my view on AI and yours as well. I'll give you mine. I mean, I think it was Clive Thompson who told me about GPT a few months ago. I looked into it. It's really tempting to go in there and ask all kinds of stuff, but I did it a little bit and then I just forgotten about it. And I prefer doing my research myself and trying to create my content on my own. And I just don't feel comfortable about it. And I see that one of the guys that was heavily involved with it has tried to expose it. What's your feeling on AI, Rafi?
I haven't developed it too much, so I could be wrong, and I don't feel so strongly about this opinion of mine as I do on monetary matters, because I know a lot about. But at first glance, it doesn't seem to me that the advance into AI is something qualitatively different from anything else, any other human advancement. It's the same, I think, as any other technology. If you use it, and if you use it correctly, it could improve things. And if you abuse it and use it as license to stop thinking, then you'll stop thinking. You'll become dumb, and you'll pass around your epigenetic dumbness to the next generation. And we're already seeing that. Humanity is definitely getting stupider. There's a lot more stupid people on the street that you can't really talk to anymore. So our AI is going to make humanity dumber and more dependent. And at the end game, I think it's all going to collapse anyway.
I agree with that. Garfi M, do you think the Fed's going to restrict credit so much in anticipation for foreigners to dump U.S. Treasuries on the market? Then dollar will come flooding back to USA and strengthen it? Well, I actually think if all the dollars that are abroad come back to the USA, it won't strengthen it, because foreigners will sell it for anything because they don't want to hold it. So right now, I think the Fed might be trying to stop the flow of dollars back into the back into the US by raising rates, making it more attractive for people to hold the dollars and not bring them back. But I don't think it's working, because we saw recently that 19 countries applied to join BRICS. And I think it's going to continue. The dollar is not going to disappear. But I think what it will mean will be inflation if more dollars come home. What's your view, Rafi?
Eventually, that's what's going to happen. When the dollar really starts losing value for consumer goods versus consumer goods, then everyone with dollars abroad will sell them for whatever they can get, and eventually they'll all come back to the States, and then they'll be worth nothing. And then they'll have to repeg it to gold, or find the ratio and move back.
Yeah, and I think it's not just the dollar though that's gonna kind of die. It's all fiat currencies, because we know that if you go back to 1944, all the fiat currencies now are kind of a derivative of the dollar, and they all hold dollar reserves. So if the dollar goes, don't be fooled into thinking that the pound or the euro or any other currency will do well, because as we saw earlier, I showed the charts, they're all dropping versus gold. So that's the way I see it. Rafi, what about the jobs data? What do you think about that? More
there's been some complaining that the Biden administration revised the previous number downwards, so this number looked better than it was. That was the problem?
No, I just think what you thought about it and the reaction of the market to it.
Oh, that stocks went up because there was a positive jobs report.
Yeah, and also how hard gold and silver were hit at one point. I don't think it necessitated. I thought it was a bit overdone.
Yeah, it looked extreme, but it also the miners came out pretty strong for the day.
Yeah, my mining shares that I own, actually my portfolio, it actually finished up on the day.
Oh, really? Yeah, some of them went up. So
yeah,
I've seen that kind of move before, where gold is smashed early in the pre-market, and the mining stocks are not as affected.
Yeah,
You had a divergence for the day, so that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah, and this is the weekly chart of gold. It still looks, I mean, it was still this how do you call the candlestick looks a bit, doesn't look too bad. So we'll have to see what happens this coming week. Someone said here they think it could go back down to 1932. I guess that would be around here. That wouldn't be much of a move, really. But the thing is, I'll show you again the, you see that's the British pound gold chart. It took 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to get through this. So, you know, I wouldn't lose patience with this, and I wouldn't let people tell you, oh, it's a triple top, it's gonna collapse now, because in the pound we had a quadruple top, and now it's making new highs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Say no to CBDC and carbon scam. So let us know if you've got any questions. Oh yeah, Rafi, wanted to ask you about Mexico. You know, they're talking about nationalizing, I think Chile nationalized lithium mines, and people are concerned about First Majestic and their mines in Mexico. Any views on that?
Chile is not Mexico.
Oh, I know that, but some people think that the Mexican government could do something with the silver mines.
Look, that's always a risk. You have to know more about politics in order to properly assess those risks, which is not my area. I don't really know much about international politics, especially the politics of Mexico. But yeah, you don't want to go all in on miners for this reason. It is a speculation. Even if silver and gold do what we think they're going to do, it doesn't necessarily mean that every miner is going to benefit. But I think a basket of different miners in different countries and different sizes, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to Andy Schechtman and what's his name, Lawrence Lepard, and they were on with Quoth Raven, and they both said that if when gold and silver really go ballistic and the miners do really, really well, they would be wanting to get out a little early, because they're concerned that a lot of nations and countries are going to nationalize those valuable properties. And so that's something to think about. But like Rafi said, don't put all your eggs, precious metals eggs, just into miners. I have someone asked me just before you came on, should they have 10 or 20% of their assets in gold and silver? And I said, well, outside my home, my liquid assets, I try to keep 100% in gold and silver. And of that, I would have maybe 10, 15% at the most in the miners. What's your view on that?
Well, I also am nervous holding physical gold and silver to a point, because it could get stolen. I mean, I can't stop that from happening completely either. So look, it depends really on your comfort level and your emotion level and what you want to accomplish in this end game. For me, I don't need more than 20-30% in bullion, because like I'm not looking to like stack so I can buy the entire country. And I don't want to hold that much. It makes me nervous. So I'd rather have some in a brokerage account where I don't have to worry about being stolen. I do have to worry about that being stolen by a government in a different way. So it depends how you can sleep best at night. And that's a different answer for everybody, and everyone's a different person.
That's right. I agree. And the other thing, it's not just all about the money and the gold. In these times, I think also being, looking after your family, being nice to your like friends and neighbors is a good thing as well, because I think things could get quite, things are going to get disrupted. We already saw what they did in 2020 to 2022. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Someone just asked a question. Oh, Rafi, you don't have a vault?
Nope. No fault.
Augie Og, if there's a systemic failure of fiat currencies, which I believe will happen, what do you trade your gold and silver for? Well,
Stuff.
yeah, for stuff. Yeah. And I've interviewed Stark Path Academy. He's a Romanian guy in the States, and he went through hyperinflation in Romania in the 90s. And he said actually gold and silver are the last things really you want to try to get rid of. You know, sometimes you exchange other things, you know, for other things. But and he said that one day you could exchange 1 ounce of gold for a certain thing, and the next day you need 2, and it's very volatile, and it's not an exact science. And I've said that before, that people will eventually yeah, they'll eventually work out the ratios, because that's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Look, who's that quote? You just quoted somebody who said the last thing you want to give up is your gold and silver.
Yeah.
Well, again, that depends on how much of it you have. If you have a lot of it, and your marginal cost of getting rid of one, or your marginal utility from your next silver coin is very low because you happen to have so much silver because you're a stacker, then maybe it's the first thing you want to give up, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But that's the imbalance you want. You want it to be the first thing that you want to give up, and versus the first thing that people want in exchange for whatever they can give you.
Yeah.
So for an average person who has like maybe some silverware and a few like numismatic coins of, you know, silver dollar or something you got when you was a kid, then you want, those kinds of people are going to want to preserve that little silver that they have. But if you're a stacker and you got plenty,
Yeah.
use it. Why not spend it?
Yeah. I've got a book here that actually was recommended by one of the viewers like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's this one here, The Mandibles. And why is it a good book? Well, because it talks about, I'll tell you what it is. I don't remember the last time. So it's the US. It says here it's 2029. So I'll read it. The US national debt has grown so enormous that it can never be repaid. The dollar is in meltdown. A bloodless international currency war will wipe out the savings of millions of American families. Their pending inheritance turned to ash. Each member of the formerly formidable Mandible family must contend first with disappointment, then the challenge of sheer survival as they navigate society in ruin. A frightening yet scrabulously funny look at the nation's not so distant future from the pen of perhaps the most consistently perceptive and topical author of our times. So yeah, this is really good, The Mandibles.
You finished it?
I bought it like 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished it. Yeah, it's
okay. For years, it looks like brand new.
no, it's not brand new. It's I finished it. So I recommend that. I've recommended it before on the channel, but it feels like very possible what happened then. But in this story, the Mandibles, one of the members of the family was in Europe, and she came back to the US, and they had some gold, and they were able to move to, I think it was Nevada, was one of the places that was free now, because there was a coup and everything, and they were able to start again over there in Nevada. So, and the author is Lionel Shriver. It's a woman, but her name is Lionel, and she's American living in the UK. So that would give the viewers, give you guys an idea of what could happen, if there is a collapse. And I think, Rafi, I mean, people have always said that a dollar collapse would come from abroad. And in this book as well, they talk about that. But maybe we're going to be wrong, and it's going to come from within with this debt.
Yeah, I don't see how it could come from abroad. It would have to come from within first. because because the only reason that the dollar exists abroad is because it is used at home. I mean, that's the logical progression. It wouldn't have become the reserve currency if it wasn't first used domestically. Look, the reason that countries still hold the dollar is, for that reason. I mean, that's what I said. So, look, you can't have a currency collapsing from abroad. It always has to collapse at home first. And then from there you can argue, is it chicken and egg, is it a dance? Like, they feed on each other, yeah, but it always starts in the home market.
Yeah, because there's a movie from the 80s called The Rollover, and a lot of the foreign, the Saudis back then, they didn't roll over their loans, and that collapsed the dollar. So it was like foreigners selling. But like you said, I think you could be right. If there's a problem at home, and then that will force foreigners to accelerate the selling.
Yeah, that's how they reported it in Weimar. Of the 1923 inflation stories that I've read, they would look at the exchange rate between the dollar and the mark every day, and then from there they would set their prices. So prices were set by the international exchange rate, which was set from the prices in consumer goods and inflation rate at that day, and then they just started following each other and then spiraling down together in a tailspin. So then it can look like foreigners crash your currency, but really it starts at home, and then it starts a death spiral.
All right. So oh yeah, what about real estate and the banks? Do you think this is I mean, there's so much going on here, the banks and the debt ceiling, it could make things even worse, couldn't it?
With real estate, yeah.
With a commercial real estate, especially, yeah. Someone's saying, Rafi, what about shadow banking euro dollar markets for the purpose? Well, euro dollar market is just dollars traded abroad, and the biggest market is in the city of London. Those dollars, yeah, they can come home as well because they're all held at the New York Fed. Those dollars. And that's mostly where the foreign banks have their, you look at the list of primary dealers in the US, and a lot of them are foreign banks. A lot of people talk about euro dollars, not the euro, but the dollars abroad. Have you got a view on that, Rafi?
About euro dollars abroad, that's just dollars that are outside the US banking
Yeah,
system.
I know. I don't know. It seems to be people think that's something that, I don't know why they make such a big deal out of it, but that's all the dollars that have flowed out because there's no more, the reason there's so many dollars abroad is that when Nixon closed the gold window, you couldn't get your gold anymore. So you have to hold paper, and it's just a reflection of all the current account deficit that the US has run up, and that's the problem with a fiat currency, major current fiat currency as a reserve currency. There's no way to settle debt. There's no payment, no you can't
Final extinguisher of debt.
Yeah, and that's what the euro dollar is. It's just a lot of foreigners holding dollars abroad. Yeah, and those dollars, the euro dollars, if there is a problem in the next month or so, a lot of those could flow back into the US.
Yeah. Well, they're all going to come back into the US eventually. It just depends who starts the march.
Yeah, I mean, even yeah, there might be a little bit left. I mean, even the pound, I think people, it's still like 3 to 5% of global foreign exchange reserves. So, but it could be different because the pound at least actually didn't have any gold backing in 1954 when it really collapsed. So Rafi,
Wait, when was the final link between gold and the pound severed?
1931, but then with the Bretton Woods, the pound was kind of linked to gold through the dollar. And I've looked at a chart from I think his name is Barry Eichengreen or David, he's an economist. And he did a chart of global foreign exchange reserves comparing sterling and the dollar. And it was only in 1954 that the dollar overtook sterling as the major reserve currency. So it took a while, but once it went through, it just went south.
Right.
Okay. So Rafi, thank you for coming on. It's 10 o'clock here. Was it midnight?
Yeah, just hit midnight.
All right. I'll wish you a very good week, and I'll keep in touch.